What's up, everyone? Today we have got a discussion to make, and whatever I'm about to tell you, please take no offense because it is not what I am intending for. But I'm about to say something that is maybe a bit challenging to someone who is still sticking to the old tradition way of kumite, freestyle sparring. Let's go for it. Hi, everyone. This is Xian, 4th Dan Shotokan Karate. I've raised a concern to some of the senior instructors and people in karate organization about traditional karate freestyle sparring without any protection gear. No gloves, maybe mouth guard, but nothing else. And my sensei has requested me to put up a public discussion on social media. So here it is. I'm here to express my opinion, but it's not intended to discredit anyone, especially people who are still practicing traditional karate, sparring without any protection gear. Personally, I am a supporter of protection gear for the longevity of a competitor and karateka's life. In fact, I hope WKF, World Karate Federation, can introduce even better headgears. So other than mouth guard and children's sponge headgears, for adults too, a better headgear to protect the competitor's eyes, jaw joint, and lower the risk of concussion, because at the moment our eyes are still open to any poking, being pushed in by. With a glove, it's harder to reach into your eyeball. Without it, your knuckle can do that. And also kicks, your toes can dig in and so on. And also concussion does still happen. If there's anything that we could use to lower the risk of such injuries, which can be permanent or long-term injuries, it'll be good. Okay, the part that people might take offense start from this point. I challenge all senior karateka to rethink about what I think is an ideology of control in karate. Now, we all have to control. We are not out there to bash each other. Our half-contact karate is not a blood sport, so we have a control. However, 100% dependent on control, I think, is unrealistic. The majority of people practicing karate and get themselves into sparring, which is strongly encouraged, are often performing or fighting in a mixed level environment. So you could be sparring with somebody who has the speed, has the power, has the strength, but without that much control, or vice versa. And also, most of the sparring is without weight division. So 100-kilo dude, who is strong and fast, against another 60-kilo dude who is also strong and fast, collide into each other, exchange fists and legs. The small guy is deemed to get hurt if the control didn't happen. When I was young, I didn't know anything. When I started learning karate, we were always taught to control from the beginning. And if something does happen, I got hit or hit somebody, I think because we didn't have enough control. So all we had to work on is continuously perfecting our control. And one day this wouldn't happen. We thought practice will make it perfect. And one day if I master control, I can stop all the accidents and injuries. One thing we need to realize is you can perfect your control when your opponent or your dummy is moving according to how you think he's going to move. But when you are fighting someone, especially both of you are high level, both of you intentionally moving at a particular way that is unpredictable. There's no way I could fight you and allow you to predict my next move. In fact, everything I do should be opposite to what you think I might do. How else could I hit you or avoid your attack and counterattack? As years goes by, we are learning more and more, and we have seen countless matches performed by the world's highest level intense competitors. From the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010 until now. That's 50 years of reference. And these videos are all over internet. Excessive contact and knockouts And some concussions and injuries are far too common. If you go to a high-level, intense competition like the World Championship, it is guaranteed you're going to see some of it. Speaking of the best in the world-level competitions, if they cannot fully control their techniques to avoid injuries, excessive contact, or get penalized for it, how is our control compared to theirs? How is everybody we know that we are going to compete with in our regional or local competitions? How certain are we that accident doesn't happen due to excessive contact? We know if you are practicing karate, if you're not sparring, you can do a lot of practice, but sparring has a lot to do with the reaction time. When you are sparring, you pretty much react. If you can just do step 1, 2, 3 and spar, you probably look like a robot. You probably look really funny. And that's not how people fight. You know, when people are fighting, they just react. So sparring is important. And in order to learn how to spar properly or how to fight properly, you really have to get yourself into an intense sparring situation. If your sparring is not intense, you are doing it half-heartedly, you are probably just doing half-ass karate. So we know your sparring exercise has to be intense, almost simulating somebody who really want to attack you at full force, full speed. Only that you can practice, sharpen your skills. But go back to what we just discussed before. If both of you are going at your most intense level without headgear, accidents are likely to happen. I'll give you an example. You are practicing sparring and the sensei says, I'm going to set the timer on for 1 minute, 60 seconds. And by 60 seconds, one of you must score and win. The loser have to do 100 push-ups. If both of you didn't score, both of you do 100 push-ups. Okay, that's intense because most people don't want to do 100 push-ups, even if you can. Now, if you are put into that kind of situation, will you go hard? Yes, you would. And in my experience, if you are always pushed to your best without protection gears, somebody is going to get hurt. It happens a lot. And most of us, even myself included, when we put into that kind of situation, we might say, yeah, I might get a bruise here, a bruise there, and I get knocked in the jaw, and you'll be sore for a week, but I'll be all right. And in most cases, that is true. But in my 25 years of practice, I have spoken to so many people, and by the time they reach my age, going through what we go through, the people who are actually training hard, going through that kind of intense training, usually have already sustained certain type of permanent injuries that they have to carry on for the rest of their life. Usually not so bad. Those who are injured badly, they have already quit, and most of them don't speak out. They just call it bad luck, accidents. Just claim for accident claim, get yourself fixed and carry on. Sadly, that's the case. So just to bring out some examples, I mean, when we train, we don't mind bruises. Bruises heal. If you tone your muscle, they heal. Hamstrings can heal. It just takes a long time, so you try not to hurt it. But certain things doesn't heal. Like, I know one guy, he got his eyeball kicked, and the contact lens just popped out from his eye, and he could never wear contact lenses again for some reason. The other guy I know, he had to go to the optometrist, eye specialist, and get his eyeball pulled out little by little because it was knocked in by a punch. Concussion is a bad one. Mild concussion, people don't notice and they just keep going. But more serious concussion is very serious. If you're in full contact sport, you would know about this. A young guy walked in and start fighting. He has a strong chin, but every time he gets knocked out and come back up, his chin just gets weaker and weaker. It is easier to knock him out after each time he got knocked out. And sooner or later, he won't be able to sustain many blows. He just gets knocked out really easily. That's concussion. it doesn't, you can toughen up your muscle, you can condition your bones, but you cannot toughen up your joint by hurting it. You cannot toughen up your brain by hurting it. Once it's injured, it's injured. Take this finger, for example. I can't bend it properly because it's out of alignment. It wasn't like this, and each year it moves a little bit by a little bit. So this is my future arthritis waiting to happen. I've been to the best hand specialist in my city. They can't fix it. It's not something you can fix, not yet anyway. So I lost some teeth. These are the things that if you ask me 20 years ago, would you have done things differently to avoid these kind of injuries? Yeah, I would. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I walked around black belt and won so many local titles, and I was also good in other sports, and people looked up to me. I felt proud, feel cool. And this guy, he was a bit nerdy. He says to me, why do you do this? You could get hurt, you know. And I just feel like I was so tough. I didn't mind getting hurt. Now you look around, I just reached my 40s, and in 10 to 20 years time, I don't want to be the tough guy in a wheelchair or in the crouches or with a lot of health problems here and there. Whereas all my other old high school friends who used to be nerdy are walking around with no health problems at all. I mean, how does it make sense to you doing this kind of sport for fitness, for endurance, for health, but end up with a broken body? That shouldn't make any sense. So could we have done something more to protect ourselves from these situations? Realistically, we are looking at doing martial art, and this kind of sport is a physical, it's a contact sport. Risk for injuries exist, yes. But how do we play smart so we still gain the skills by allowing us to be more full on, be more intense, be more fast, be more realistic without inflicting injuries on each other? Control is obviously the most important thing, but we know it cannot be 100% dependent on. So currently WKF allowed us to wear certain gears, and they have just added body protector, even for male, right? I don't know how much it does, but glove definitely does a lot. Not sure about foot gear, but most of these injuries are to the head area. So I'm hoping better headgear. I've seen them when I went to Japan in year 2000. Some of the karate style already wear headgear. I mean, these headgear are not fully bulletproof. They can't protect yourself from a 100% full blow if you are in full contact sport. But for half contact sport like we do, I think it's adequate. It's probably the best thing you have. So I'm hoping something like that can be introduced. There will be complaints because if you're not used to them, you wear those helmets, they feel really weird. But I have seen the top fighters wearing those. I went to Nihon Budokan to watch their competitions, and these guys can move swiftly with those headgear on without trouble. So I believe once you get used to it, it works for you. And this was 20 years ago. Maybe their technology has improved. So I think it's worth looking into. Personally, I think that's a good idea. Martial art is a sport of respect. Most people in the club are friends. They like each other. So it's very hard to actually go full on knowing your knuckle will probably go 1 or 2 centimeters too far and inflict injury on your friend. I mean, to me, that's a big concern for me. Every time when I'm sparring, I actually have to withdraw myself because you really don't know if that person throw a punch. When you counterattack, their head is going to move backwards or forward. Sometimes they throw their punch. Somehow after the punch, they move forward. You think they're going to left, you kick it, and they actually move right into your kick. This happens, and boom, there's knockout. Because he's not even guarding himself. He doesn't know you're going to kick him. But for you, for some reason, that is a very natural move for you. So having more protection gear allow you to actually be more relaxed and go harder, go faster. I think that will actually help. Now, also, as a father who really care about certain people, like my children, now they are learning karate, and personally, I would not let them get into sparring, even practicing at home. I get them to practice at home, and I would not allow them to get lazy getting into sparring without at least mouth guard or gloves, because without them, even between my children, they just accidentally bash into each other. They do, but with gloves and mouth gear, it's so much better. For some of you watching this, you might be doing traditional karate, sparring without any protection gear at all, just like in the old days, in the 80s and early 90s. And what I just said might be challenging your status quo, but like I said, it's my opinion. Please don't take any offense. And for people in the WKF, WKF is WKF rule, and this protection gear I think will remain. And if we were to teach, if we were to instruct, if we were to recruit new members, and many of these people that are watching now are my friends, I wish you and I can go on for much, much longer. Personally, I don't want to be a tough guy for just 10 years. I don't want to be a tough guy just for 20 years. You know, after 20 years, I start to lose things, start to lose my cool. I want to remain healthy, fit, strong for the rest of my life if I can. And the best way to do that is training, but also not to break anything. So this message is posted to begin a discussion, and you know, as on the internet, I'm not gonna shut it down, so you can keep going. You can post your opinion and your thoughts about it. Maybe there's something I haven't thought of. Maybe I'm short-sighted or having tunnel vision in a particular way. Please feel free to post any of your thoughts, anything you know, your knowledge, your experience in the comments down below to share and benefit other people. I said earlier, this post was produced to raise awareness and create an open discussion. So I look forward to reading your comments. Os.